Jesus told lots of parables. That's probably something you already knew. But it's helpful to think about what a parable is. A parable is a story that is designed to teach a lesson. We have modern day parables. Think about the tortoise and the hare, designed to teach us a lesson. The challenge with parables is, how are they supposed to be taken? As literal fact? Are the people supposed to be symbolic of something, like an allegory would be? Sometimes it's left to the reader or the hearer to determine that. So let's take a look at just one verse of one parable that Jesus tells in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25. His master replied, "Excellent. You are a good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I'll put you in charge of much. Come, celebrate with me." This portion of a longer parable is about a man who entrusts his wealth to those who serve him. And when he's gone, some of those who are entrusted with a portion of his wealth hide it. They do nothing of value with it. Some do a little bit with it. And at least one goes the extra mile and really invests the wealth in a way that brings more about. This idea that you've been faithful over a little, and now you're capable of being faithful over with that much more, is something that we can understand in our world. Those who do well in their job tend to be promoted. Those who do poorly in their job tend not to be promoted. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it typically is the way it works. But what happens here at the end? The master says to his servant, "I'll put you in charge of much. Come, celebrate with me." We're not surprised by the result, but we might be a little bit surprised by the master's exuberance, his desire to celebrate. Why is he celebrating? Well, when we look at the whole parable as a literal story, he's celebrating, of course, because his wealth has created more wealth. Go ahead and celebrate when your GameStop stock goes through the roof and suddenly your wealth has amassed beyond your wildest dreams. Go ahead and celebrate. But what if this isn't a literal story that we're supposed to take literally? What if this isn't a lesson on how to invest? What if it's rather a lesson, a parable about stewardship, to care for that with which God entrusts us? God celebrates when we are good stewards. God celebrates when we care for that with which God entrusts us. This week, we are mindful that we are entrusted with so much more than we realize. We realize that when we think about children who are entrusted to our schools to be kept safe. We think about that when we look at our world, our earth, and question whether or not we are even making attempts to care for it. God celebrates when we care for that with which God has entrusted to us. God weeps when we don't. Amen.